What's up, Honors World Literature? It's me talking to you today about chapter 51, the last chapter in A Thousand Splendid Suns. It's been really cool. I've taught this book now, I don't know, 3 or 4 times maybe, depending on if you count class periods. It's something, it may be a little more than that. But this is definitely the first time I've ever taught it like this. And the sad part is, and it is sad, because the last time we were together, we were finishing up Caesar. So that means we went through an entire unit, our biggest one of the semester, which is what I told you it was going to be. Our biggest unit of the year for Honors World is A Thousand Splendid Suns, and we didn't do any of it together in person, and I'm sad about that, but it was also good for me to have to consider how to teach it this way. About a month into it, things also changed in regards to the way the county and the school were handling grades and assignments and things like that. So that was kind of a nice little curveball we had about halfway through this, and we were going to write some paragraphs and things and go into some AP prep stuff for you, but of course, because more than half the class kind of opted out, it was really more about our discussions with each other and you guys getting into these questions that I was asking you a few times a week. So for those of you that are still hanging in there with me right here at the end of chapter 51, as we close out A Thousand Splendid Suns, I appreciate it. We find ourselves in April 2003. It is now almost 2 years since 9/11, so it's been almost 2 years since the decision was made that it's about a year and a half, we'll say, since they made the decision to go back to Afghanistan. So clearly, Lila showed up in Afghanistan, went to the orphanage after the Taliban had folded, and went to the only guy she could go to in this situation, and that was that Zaman guy, and said, hey, basically here's the money, it's my orphanage now, I'm running things. Zaman of course gets to stay, and he's the operations guy. He's there at the free throw line bouncing basketball, shooting hoops with the boys, kind of teaching a PE class there on page 411, and it's kind of cool that he got to hang around. But I like that because Zaman was one of those guys that even when the Taliban were at their very harshest, was still trying to do the right thing for kids. If Zaman had had any corruption in him, had any of that ill decision making in him in regards to how adults can treat children sometimes, then the narrative for Aziza and the narrative for a lot of these kids could have been very, very different and much, much worse. But here he is being rewarded. The righteous will be rewarded. That's really not a common theme, but that is a good theme here at the end. And that Zaman is kind of rewarded by doing the right thing. He gets to have a job at the orphanage, which is now kind of a school there. And Lila, things come full circle from when we first met her. She was always so smart. She was going to be on the front page of the newspaper, and she's not on the front page of the newspaper in this chapter. She's not. But she is in the newspaper because she has founded a school where both boys and girls can learn, and they have classes. And the Jalil Mariam money is being put to work here on updating this building, making it a real classroom. They're planting trees. The one of the themes here is we need Kabul to be green again. And so Kabul, which had been turned to rubble amongst all the war, and then the way the Taliban had kind of, from corruption, mistreated the city, that had only further turned it to dust. And now here they are, hopefully, in April 2003, Kabul kind of on the comeback trail here. And the Taliban does still exist. I want you to know that even now in 2020, the Taliban is still a thing. It's just that they're not in control anymore. They're not the governance. But the Taliban is still in existence, and we see that here, and the author reminds us that of here. They still have the big, black, fancy Land Cruiser that zips by, and If they run over a kid or two, or if they run over a person or two, then who cares? So there's still some corruption there. Very, very hard very hard to stamp out that level of corruption. And what makes me think of is when the United States went through prohibition in the early 20th century. That was when the mafia was introduced to the United States, and the mafia was able to illegally get alcohol when alcohol was made illegal in the United States. And it was a very short time. If you Google prohibition in the United States, and you may read some stuff about how the mafia kind of was able to get their claws into the United States, the fabric of the United States. And here it is in 2020, and the mafia is still a thing. So once the Taliban had kind of gotten a footing in Afghanistan, they were never going to be extinct. Their teachings were just so vast and so thorough in regards to raising boys to believe certain things, and their teaching was so widespread. It's hard to stamp them out completely. It's just that they're not in control here anymore. So a little bit about the Taliban. If you Google Taliban, you will find that as well. Lila's in the paper. They have the school. Lila is the teacher. Yes, that is a direct reference to her the early story, the early narrative of Lila being the smart student in her class. She's always been very book smart. She's very different from Mariam in that way, in that she was very educated, and that education gave her self-confidence, and that's a self-confidence that Mariam, even though she wanted it, Mariam wanted that education for herself. She has that big argument with her mother earlier in the book about that. She wants that education. She was never able to get it, and we see there's a direct correlation, okay, and this is a good lesson for you smart young ladies out there. There's a direct correlation between being educated and doing things for yourself, okay, and wanting the best life for yourself, okay, and education, and that education giving you self-confidence. And we see that in Lila, and we see those that kind of turn away from that life, turn away from education, or stick up their nose at it. Those are often the ignorant or the stupid, and a lot of times there's a connection between that and poor decision making. And not that Mariam was stupid, it's just that she never had the opportunity, and so her IQ, her brain, wasn't developed like it should have been. The only thing she really had was the Mullah Fazula education that she got in her religious education. Lila is kind of the mother here. She's very much the Mariam here at the end of the book, in that she has become the wise teacher of all the young students, and some of the young students call her mother, and she doesn't correct them. And that's not arrogance on her part. It's just that she feels an obligation to the future of Afghanistan, and she realizes the future of Afghanistan is, of course, it's cliche, but it's true, the children, right? So she goes in and she's teaching religion, she's teaching language, and it's kind of a funny scene here. Zaman is still out there coaching basketball. He's got his nice new glasses. I like that too. The Mariam thing here at the very, very end is really cool. She is sad that when she comes back to Kabul, that the Taliban, they don't know where they buried Mariam, or even if they did, they're not going to be able to give any specifics. They're executing people every day, or at least once a week, so why not just kind of dump them disrespectfully in a mass grave somewhere? So there's no way of telling where Mariam is here, but we see that, and this may resonate with some of you guys in regards to loved ones and burials and things like that. My grandmother, my other grandmother, one of my grandmothers passed away in 2016, and my other one passed away this past December in 2019. And when I went to her funeral, they did not have her gravestone up yet. I know exactly where she was buried. They didn't have her gravestone up yet, and we just did a really nice service there in the funeral home. And that was really difficult. And since then, that was December, and since then I have not been back. Part of that is the virus stuff has prevented a lot of travel. But to me, a lot of times it doesn't matter. It's important, sure, to go and pay your respects. Don't get me wrong, but for Lila and for me and for a lot of people, I think a lot of it matters right here. What's going on right here in regards to your memory of somebody. So Mariam is kind of, again, hokey if you want it, but Mariam kind of lives right here for Lila. And she sees it in all of these things that she was able to do for these children because Mariam existed. Think about it like this. Because Mariam existed, these children have a future at this school. There's a direct connection between the day Mariam was born and these children and these opportunities. It's a rough road, but without Mariam, none of this would have been possible. Because, of course, that was where the money was. And I like the part, I had it underlined earlier, or I thought I was going to. They go back to the 1,000 Splendid Suns line, and that's where Mariam is. Yeah, okay, yeah, right here. But mostly, Mariam is in Lila's own heart, where she shines with the bursting radiance of 1,000 Splendid Suns. There it is again, the 1,000 Splendid Suns, okay, turns out in the end is really not just the city of Kabul and what it used to be, and the beautiful homes and what representing Kabul before the Civil War really destroyed it, for lack of a better word. That 1,000 Splendid Sun, that reflection, okay, of Mariam lives right here in Lila, and of course she's able to share that every day. And so the 1,000 Splendid Suns is Mariam's kind of spirit within Lila. Lila, it turns out, is with child. She's pregnant. So this will be baby number 3 here. This is Tariq's second child. So Tariq and Lila obviously had Aziza, and then Lila and Rashid, of course, was Zalmai, and now they're all growing up, and Lila is, good for her here in her early 30s. Early 30s, going to be having a third child, and they all bat around what they're going to name it if it's a boy, and I love that. I love that. It's a perfect way to end the book on page 415. They're all batting around, wow, here's what we should name it if it's a boy. Muhammad, let's see, Clark Kent, basically, for Superman by Salmai. Aman says Aziza. Lila likes Omar. And there's all these kind of neat, cool traditional names, except for Clark. Cool traditional names, from Afghanistan and or from the Middle East, really. And they don't even argue about it if it's going to be a girl. That's not even a discussion because that name is already picked out. And of course, hopefully you guys are smart enough to pick up on the fact that the reason they don't argue about a girl's name is because they're going to name the girl, if it's a girl, they're going to name her, I'm going to do the Dora the Explorer thing. What are they going to name her? They're going to name her, that's right, Mariam. See that? So hopefully you are able to say, Mariam, coach, Mariam, and then, that's right. Hopefully you said Mariam. They're going to name her Beatrice. Okay. Anyway, hopefully it's not Beatrice. Hopefully it's Mariam. 1,000 Splendid Suns. I enjoyed it. That was chapter 51. Tune back in tomorrow where we're going to have a shorter video. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing next week and the week after. It's going to be real laid back. It's going to be real chill. It's going to be more journal type entries for you from here on out in regards to what you're going to be reading. I want it to be a graphic novel, but basically it's our last little portion of independent reading is how we're going to end it. I'm going to be doing a graphic novel, The Alchemist, if you're able to get your hands on that. If you're not able to get your hands on a graphic novel, that's okay, because I don't want you guys going out and buying something if you don't need to, unless you want to. And then I checked to graphic novels online, and it's just a bunch of, I don't know, man. You're going to end up getting a virus on your computer, speaking of viruses. Okay, so that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed 1,000 Splendid Suns. I'm a little sad that it's over with. It's bittersweet for me, like I said on the blog. It's sweet that, man, we made it through 51 chapters together, all online. But it's bitter because I really love teaching this book, and I wish we could keep going. Because now the classes every day are probably going to be a little bit different than this. In fact, I'm probably not going to communicate with you every day anymore after tomorrow. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But we're kind of winding down. Kind of a sad reminder for how this semester went, honestly. But we don't have to talk about that today. In fact, I'm not going to. Let's worry about that tomorrow when it's Friday. All right? Happy Thursday to you. Have a good day. And last but not least, assalamu alaikum. Peace in the Middle East. See ya.